All right, let's dive right in. Something big just dropped in the AI world. It looks like we've got a leak, a final preview checkpoint for a next-gen model. And today, we're going to break down exactly what this means for all of us. So, what are we looking at here? I mean, what if the next major AI model just leaked? Because honestly, all the evidence is pointing to exactly that. It looks like we're seeing the final preview checkpoint for Google's Gemini 3.0 Pro. Okay, so here's the rundown. A new checkpoint has popped up inside Google's Vertex console, and the label is pretty specific. Gemini 3.0 Preview 11 2025. Now, for anyone in the space, you know, finding a late-stage training checkpoint like this, that's a huge deal. And it gets better. The endpoint itself has also leaked, and we're already seeing early access pop up through some private API aggregators. So, you might be wondering, how can we be so sure about the timing? Well, it all comes down to the deprecation schedule. If you look at Google's track record, they almost always time their model deprecations to happen right before a major new launch. And guess what? Older models like Gemini 2.5 Pro are set to be sunset on November 18th. That's not a coincidence. It's a massive signal that the public release is just around the corner. All right, let's get into the really cool stuff. What can this thing actually do? Because from what we're seeing, its generative power is, well, it's on a whole other level. Okay, check this out. It can generate fully interactive simulations just from a text prompt. Like this planet visualization. You're not just looking at a picture, you can actually go in and tweak things like sea level, how many continents there are, in real time. The amount of logic and structural detail needed to pull this off, it's just insane. And it's not just about making pretty visuals. We're talking about complex logic. This isn't just a picture of a Rubik's cube. No, it's a fully functional, interactive simulation. Think about the state management that requires, the ability to track every rotation, every color. That's a level of sophistication we just haven't seen from other models. They simply can't do this. And it gets even crazier. We've seen earlier checkpoints of this model compose and even perform original music. We're not talking about just spitting out a MIDI file here. This is a genuinely creative and incredibly complex task. It's really pushing the envelope of what we thought generative AI could do. This right here, this is a perfect example of its power. The prompt was a simulation of a creative wormhole. And in one shot, it generated this complex visualization with flawless visuals and audio. We've seen other top models try the same prompt, and they just fall flat. You get glitchy visuals, terrible audio, just a mess. The fact that this model can nail multimodal creative synthesis like this is exactly why people are starting to whisper that this is a real step towards AGI. But, and this is where the story gets really interesting, there's a twist. For all its incredible power in these new areas, there's some pretty strong evidence that this latest checkpoint has actually been, well, nerfed. It seems to be a step back compared to earlier versions in some ways. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at this side by side. On the left, you've got an SVG generated by an older Gemini 3.0 Pro checkpoint. See how detailed it is? The gradients on the bike? Now look at the right. That's the new preview. It's lackluster. The detail just isn't there. It's a pretty significant downgrade in visual quality, right? So that brings up a really important question, especially for any devs thinking about building on this. Why the downgrade? Are they just trying to manage training costs and make inference cheaper for a massive public launch? That's plausible. Or is this a more strategic play? Are they holding back the model's full capabilities for a different release down the line? And just when we were all trying to wrap our heads around this Gemini leak, the whole board gets shaken up again. Out of nowhere, a surprise competitor just quietly stepped into the ring. Yep, a brand new, unannounced model just appeared on OpenRouter. And if you've been following this space, this probably sounds familiar, right? It seems like every time one of the big labs is about to drop something major, another one makes a countermove. This is the AI race playing out right in front of us. So, what is it? It's called Polaris Alpha, and all the signs are pointing to this being a GPT 5.1 variant. But here's the key. It doesn't seem to be just another general-purpose model. It looks like it's been specifically engineered for high-performance dev workflows. We're talking top-tier performance in coding, really complex tool calling for API integrations, and just nailing instruction following. You know, all the stuff that's absolutely critical for building real production-ready apps. So this is the situation. We've got two brand new,
top-tier models hitting the scene simultaneously. Let's put them head-to-head and see how they compare.
Okay, so this really breaks it down. You can see their different strategies here. Gemini 3.0 Pro is all about that raw, complex, creative, multimodal power. But Polaris Alpha, it's laser-focused on practical, structured tasks for developers. And that 256K context window, for coders, that is an absolute game changer. Being able to feed an entire code base into the context and have it reason over everything, that's a massive, massive advantage for any serious software project. So what are the first impressions? Well, first off, both of them are fast, like incredibly low latency. It seems like the Gemini checkpoints have a slight edge and just overall general capability, but that GPT variant, Polaris Alpha, is a true production powerhouse. It can spit out beautiful, clean front-end code for something like a whole CRM dashboard, and it does it with stunning accuracy.
So here's the bottom line. We've got two top-tier models now going head-to-head. And this kind of competition is just accelerating the whole field at an incredible speed. We're expecting full releases for both of them before the year is out.
And at the end of the day, this kind of fierce competition is just a massive win for developers, for all of us. Performance is going through the roof, capabilities are exploding, and the costs are going to come down. So, I'll leave you with this question. With tools this powerful about to be in your hands, what new class of applications is suddenly possible? What are you going to build?